New hantavirus cases. One American passenger from the cruise ship exposed to hantavirus tests positive, while another is showing symptoms. The quarantine process that more than a dozen passengers began this morning.
Our slight chance of showers continues into the afternoon, and we have another chance later in the week. I'll show you how much rain we could see by the weekend.
Mother's Day violence. A man is in court today after a shooting at a restaurant in Durham during a brunch event. What led up to that shooting, plus the victim's condition today.
A flight carrying 17 Americans who were exposed to hantavirus on a cruise ship arrived early this morning in Omaha, Nebraska. Good afternoon. I'm Laura Levine.
And I'm Chris Levingood. And that is just one of the several headlines that we're following in hantavirus investigations that are playing out right now. One passenger tested positive while another is experiencing mild symptoms. And medical office officials are saying that all the passengers will be monitored for about 42 days.
Yes, so Ken Smith, he is keeping an eye on all of the major developments in the global alert. He joins us in the WRAL Live Center right now with additional information. Ken.
Now, Chris and Laura, all those passengers arrived at Eppley Airfield in Omaha, Nebraska early this morning, the wee hours of the morning, actually. And this is video into our newsroom of the buses actually transporting those patients to the National Quarantine Center at the University of Nebraska there in Omaha. So here's what we know from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services. The one person who tested positive for the hantavirus is here in Omaha. Two more passengers, though, were transported to Atlanta's Emory University. So we're waiting to figure out exactly what's going on with those patients at Emory University in Atlanta. Now, of the 16 or 17 people still in Nebraska, they are asymptomatic, according to health officials, while one of them in Atlanta is experiencing some symptoms. Now, at last check, there were 54 people still left on that ship moored in the Canary Islands. The Canary Island officials were expecting an aircraft to arrive today that will transport about 22 passengers back to the Netherlands. Now, as for this facility in Nebraska, this is the same facility that treated COVID-19 patients from China back in 2020. And back in 2014, it also treated some Ebola virus patients as well.
All right, thank you for following that for us, Ken. Well, a few isolated showers are possible through this evening, and meteorologist Elizabeth Gardner is in the double. And Elizabeth, give us a look at who has the best chances of seeing rain right now and later in the week.
We start off with a big picture here. We have a cold front. It's going to come swinging through. We do have a southerly flow. There's a boundary that's happening right here, actually. And near Fayetteville, you can see those thunderstorms starting to pop up. So that's where we may end up with a few isolated storms. Otherwise, we're looking at the potential for some scattered rain, especially up near the Virginia line. But you see here on Futurecast, here's where storm cells are developing around Fayetteville and Clinton. And in the southern part of Sampson County, there is a level 1 risk for this afternoon. So we'll have our eye on that area. But those are likely to move in and out pretty quickly. We do have rain that's up north in the Virginia, across the Virginia line. This is 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and watch how that rain moves in just in time for the evening commute and fizzles out. So we're not likely to see much rain. You're more likely to not see rain than you are to see rain this afternoon. But it is cloudy out there and windy too. Take a look here. We're looking down Fayetteville Street toward the Capitol building, and the trees are moving around out there. We have winds out of the north at 18 steady and a temperature of 63. So it feels pretty chilly out there. Our winds are gusting right now in the triangle up to 30, 35 miles per hour, 23 in Goldsboro, 24 in Roxborough. So it's breezy out there as this front is starting to move through. Our temperatures in some spots may climb up into the low 70s. We're sitting in the mid 60s right now, and it looks like it's possible that we would hold in the mid to upper 60s, and then temperatures by the evening drop on into the 50s. So it is going to be a fairly cool afternoon for us too. Looking ahead to Wednesday, we have a 30% chance during the day, but then overnight, maybe even a better chance. We'll walk you through Futurecast and talk about our chances for Wednesday coming up.
Elizabeth, thank you. A Durham man accused of shooting someone outside a restaurant will remain in jail without bond. Samer Selin Al-Ahmad faces a charge for assault with a deadly weapon with intent to kill or serious injury. WRAL's Monica Casey live outside the Durham County Courthouse for us. And Monica, walk us through this case.
Well, Al Mahmoud is charged after a shooting outside the Silver Spoon restaurant on Mother's Day, that restaurant up on North Roxborough Street here in Durham. Now, Al Mahmoud appeared via video from the Durham County Jail for his first appearance here today. During her argument for no bond, the prosecutor said Al Mahmoud was held down by patrons at the restaurant after the shooting. That prosecutor also said Al Mahmoud told detectives at the scene that if he got out, he would, quote, finish the job. Now, the judge acknowledged that this case has bond restrictions under Irina's law, deciding to give him no bond. Al Mahmoud's next court date is set for June 2nd. The victim in this case still in critical condition today. Live in Durham, Monica Casey, WRAL News.
One person is dead after a house fire in Chapel Hill. Dozens of firefighters responded to the scene at the corner of Redbud Lane and Honeysuckle Road just before 7 a.m. They found one person dead inside that home. A medical examiner is working to determine the victim's identity and the cause of death.
There was a special honor this morning for fallen law enforcement officers. It's just one of several events happening this week for National Police Week. Today's ceremony was at Hayes Barton Baptist Church at 10:30. 25 fallen officers were honored, including Wake County Deputy Ned Byrd and Raleigh Police Officer Gabriel Torres. He was killed during the Hedingham mass shooting in 2022, and Byrd was shot and killed on duty that same year. Tonight, our WRAL tower will be lit in blue to honor National Police Week, starting at 7. The man charged in connection to a 2024 deadly shooting on a GO Durham bus is due in court today. Police arrested 55-year-old Raymond Dixon and charged him with first-degree murder. He is accused of shooting and killing Christopher Hart on the bus. I want to show you some video from that scene on November 12, 2024. This was just after 9 a.m. on Holloway Street. Search warrants say that Dixon shot and killed Hart in retaliation for a shooting that happened hours before. Dixon is being held with no bond.
Totally unacceptable. That's how President Donald Trump classified the latest peace proposal from Iran. Oil prices continue to climb on the latest news, and NBC's Keir Simmons reports on Washington's new effort, which includes talk between Israel and Lebanon.
President Trump rejecting Iran's latest counter-proposal passed on by Pakistan, writing, "I have just read the response from Iran's so-called representatives," and adding, "I don't like it. Totally unacceptable." While this morning, Iran's foreign ministry spokesman insisting their position is legitimate, generous and responsible. In an interview broadcast Sunday, Trump complaining Iran's new leadership are hard to negotiate with.
They make a deal and then they break it, then they make a deal, they break it. It's a difficult group.
Iran's supreme leader is injured from a strike that killed his father, a senior Iranian official has confirmed, to the head, back and knee. But he insisted he is in full health and able to conduct meetings. This morning, Iran says its demands include the U.S. lifting its blockade and releasing Iranian frozen assets. While Israel's prime minister, asked by 60 Minutes whether the war is over, saying there needs to be a deal over Iran's nuclear program.
I think it accomplished a great deal, but it's not over because there's still nuclear material, enriched uranium, that has to be taken out of Iran.
An unrelenting standoff, the Strait of Hormuz still almost at a standstill, as gas prices continue to soar, reaching $4.52 a gallon on average in the U.S. today. On Meet the Press, Energy Secretary Chris Wright not ruling out the possibility of that rising to $5 a gallon.
Well, I'm just avoiding price predictions. But I will say the United States is in a tremendous position. We're by far the world's largest producer of oil.
Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth is once again calling on the Pentagon to investigate Senator Mark Kelly. In a social media post, Hegseth accused Kelly of revealing classified information about munitions stockpiles. Kelly responded with a video of the secretary himself discussing stockpiles at a public hearing. The new probe follows two other so far failed recent attempts to punish Kelly for a video he and other lawmakers urged service members not to obey illegal orders. An appeals court appears poised to side with Kelly in the matter after a grand jury declined to indict him.
New at noon, State Highway Patrol released new information today about 2 people killed in a collision on I-85 North in Durham. This happened last Friday afternoon as investigators say a black Honda Civic rear-ended a gray Chevy passenger car, drove off the road and crashed into a tree. 61-year-old Denise Crawford and 21-year-old Kellis Gorham were in the Honda, and both were killed. Each was from Maryland. The driver in the second vehicle was not injured. But as for why that black Honda rear-ended the Chevy, that's unclear as State Highway Patrol investigates. Part of Capitol Boulevard in Raleigh is back open after a water main break overnight. Do you see this video? This is from the WRAL Breaking News Tracker last night as teams made repairs near the I-440 interchange. They finished up around midnight, but it's not clear what even caused that break.
People across Wake County will get the chance to share their thoughts on the next budget. There will be a public hearing today on the Wake County manager's most recent budget proposal. The more than $2 billion budget would also come with a 2-cent property tax increase. That could cost homeowners an extra $90 a year. Today's hearing will be at the Wake County Commons building in Raleigh. That gets started at 7 p.m.
Your time is 12:09 right now. Next at noon, accused attempted assassin in court. What we learned from Cole Allen's appearance after being accused of opening fire at the White House Correspondents' Dinner venue.
And killed on runway. The investigation unfolding after that happened in Denver, plus a review of airline evacuation procedures.
And mail-in voting lawsuit. The arguments on whether the U.S. Postal Service can enforce mail-in voting restrictions.
Coming up next, see storms moving in with WRAL's exclusive Dual Doppler 5000. Sponsored by the WRAL Weather app. Download now for live radar.
New at noon this morning, the man accused of opening fire during the White House Correspondents' Dinner pleaded not guilty to federal charges. Cole Allen faces a charge of attempting to assassinate President Donald Trump. Prosecutors say Allen rushed through a security checkpoint armed with a shotgun and then shot a Secret Service officer in the chest. That officer fired 5 times at Allen, with none of the bullets hitting him. Allen faces life in prison if convicted on the attempted assassination charge alone. And trial begins today for the man accused of stealing unreleased music by Beyonce. You may recall last July, Beyonce's choreographer and one of her dancers said that thieves broke into their SUV and a parking garage in Atlanta. Well, flash drives were reportedly stolen and said to contain unreleased music, footage plans for Beyonce's show, and past and future set lists. This happened less than 48 hours before the Grammy-winning artist kicked off her Cowboy Carter tour, the performances that were held in Atlanta. And police arrested the suspect back in September.
Newly obtained surveillance video shows a trespasser entering an active runway at Denver International before getting hit by a Frontier plane taking off for L.A. The NTSB is gathering information about the person who was killed, as well as the airline's evacuation procedures. NBC's Liz Kreutz from Denver.
After these terrifying moments on the tarmac at Denver International,
we just hit somebody. We have an engine fire.
Investigators are looking to determine what led to this fatal incident. Newly obtained surveillance video shows a trespasser entering an active runway just moments before getting hit by a Frontier plane taking off for Los Angeles Friday night.
There does appear to be human remains on the runway.
224 passengers and 7 crew members were forced to evacuate after the airline reported smoke in the cabin, seen here sliding down onto the runway.
I need you all to move away from the aircraft.
Denver International says the person jumped the perimeter fence 2 minutes before getting hit. The airport now saying they're working to perform an incident analysis, which will include reviewing the perimeter security program.
This barbed wire fence surrounds the perimeter of the airport, but it's the size of the airport. Denver International is twice as big as the island of Manhattan. That makes monitoring every inch of it so challenging.
It is a huge field, if you will, with multiple runways and miles of security perimeter fencing.
Former TSA Administrator John Pistol says it will fall on multiple agencies, including the TSA, FAA, and NTSB, to determine what gaps in security allowed for the breach.
Denver's done an excellent job over the years, but in this case, obviously, something didn't work.
Also under scrutiny, the evacuation. Some on board describe having to wait several minutes in the smoky cabin after impact. Videos also show some passengers taking their luggage off the plane, a blatant violation of FAA regulations.
We were telling them, let us out, let us out, let us out, and they were trying to calm us down.
This morning, the airport says they're continuing to gather information about the incident, adding this was a horrible and preventable tragedy that has affected many. Liz Kreutz, NBC News.
We have some sad news to report now this noon. An American citizen who reunited with his parents on Saturday has died. Kevin Gonzalez reunited with his parents in Durango, Mexico. You can see Kevin was born in the United States but was raised in Mexico. He He was diagnosed with stage 4 colon cancer while visiting with family in Chicago last winter. His parents had previously been deported from the United States and were living in Mexico. They were arrested last month when they tried to re-enter the U.S. to see their son. The Department of Homeland Security released them from custody on Friday, leading to Saturday's emotional reunion. The family confirmed his death Sunday afternoon.
North Carolina is preparing for a major 4th of July celebration as the Department of Natural and Cultural Resources announced Capital 250 NC Freedom Fest. This will be an all-day event at the state capitol in Raleigh to celebrate America's 250th birthday. Organizers say that it's a chance to honor North Carolina's first in freedom legacy while also celebrating arts, history, and culture. We are swinging over to your weather forecast today because obviously we know that there's some rain in the forecast today, later in the week. Elizabeth, I know a lot of people are curious. Is this going to be it? Is this the thing that'll remove us from the drought? But sadly, I think no is the answer.
Yeah, I think you've been watching all morning probably. You know that hardly any of us are going to actually see any of this rain. A lot of this is going to dissipate. The areas that we are looking at rain.
Having just a little issue there with the microphone here. Don't worry, getting right back on.
Okay, well, we'll get back to Elizabeth's forecast in just a bit here. Here's a look at what WRAL is following today. Drill, baby, drill. President Donald Trump says Americans shouldn't worry about a gas shortage. He says the U.S. produces more oil than Russia and Saudi Arabia combined. Today on WRAL News at 4, PolitiFact checks that claim.
Plus, behind the hacks, there are many questions you may have about that Canvas hack from last week. So tonight, coming up at 6 o'clock, we are going to learn a little bit more about the group that gained access to student and teacher data across the world, including right here in North Carolina. The benefits of recess. Next at noon, why pediatricians say that time on the playground could be good for a child's grade, and why recess should not be limited to elementary school students.
And when it comes to water, how much is enough? Why doctors say some people may require more than 8 cups per day. And if you see breaking news, have a story tip, or take video or pictures of the weather where you are, please report it to us. You can go to WRAL.com/report it to send your video, pictures, or tips to our news team.
Doppler 5000 radar. We're seeing some showers up near the Virginia line, but also some down to the south. Some showers and thunderstorms developing down here in the southern part of Cumberland County and moving over into Sampson County. A lot of us aren't going to see this rain at all, and those who do see it, most of it's going to be fairly light and patchy. From Fayetteville down over toward Clinton, some of this is a little bit heavier, but you can see this band is pretty narrow, and there's not a whole lot of rain to be seen with this. We head up to the north, and this is pretty light and patchy from Roxborough all the way up towards South Hill, Virginia. And this will continue to stay mainly north of I-85. We take a look at Futurecast, and it's definitely picking up the rain to the north and this little band down to the south. And notice how it pushes that out, and we don't see much more developing. Maybe an isolated cell or two right there around 3 o'clock. The rain that's up near the Virginia line tries to push into our area, but really just fizzles out about the time of the evening commute. So at this point, the evening commute on this version of Futurecast is looking pretty dry. I pulled Fayetteville because I thought we might start to see some of that rain falling pretty heavily, but it looks like it isn't happening just yet here in downtown on Hay Street. 63 is our temperature. We have breezy conditions. Our wind is north at 18 miles per hour. We have gusts across our area anywhere from 25 to 35 miles per hour, so it's likely to stay pretty windy through the afternoon. And chilly too. There are 61 in Durham, 63 in Raleigh, 67 in Fuquay Arena. And temperatures in some spots may climb into the low 70s, especially places where we end up with a few showers. We're probably not going to make it much past 70. Could be a little warmer around Fayetteville at 79. We've had some nice cool temperatures for the start of May with an average temperature of 61, and April, which you would expect to be cooler than May, wasn't at all. The average temperature, averaging the highs and lows together, 66 degrees. But you remember we had a lot of days in the 80s and 90s in April, and we finally kind of settled down to normal, at least for the beginning of May. We look fairly normal all the way through Friday, a little hotter on Wednesday at 80 degrees, but that's right ahead of a front, and we'll likely have some showers and thunderstorms late in the day. And we're going to go through that on Futurecast coming up in just a little bit. We'll jump on out and talk more about our temperatures looking cooler after the front comes through on Wednesday, Thursday and Friday cooler, and then Saturday and Sunday we will see our temperatures climbing again into the upper 80s to around 90. Right now the timing for Wednesday looks like evening commute on until around midnight or so. We'll take a look at the timing and how much rain we could see Wednesday in just a bit.
All right, sounds good, Elizabeth. All right, let them play. More and more doctors are stressing the importance of letting students play outside during school hours. Sue Guzman spoke with medical experts who are highlighting the benefits in and out of class.
While students go to school to learn, a growing number of doctors want to make sure there's also time for play built into their schedules. This, as the American Academy of Pediatrics cites the latest research and recommends recess never be withheld from kids of all ages.
The drive for test scores and things have really pushed other things out of the way, including recess.
According to data from Springboard to Active Schools in collaboration with the CDC, roughly 40% of school districts across the country have decreased or canceled recess time since the mid-2000s.
There's good evidence that you've got to take breaks between concentrated bouts of learning in order for the brain to hold that information and store it.
Experts also say recess can help enhance a child's social skills.
Their ability to learn how to work together and stay within the rules and solve problems and communicate.
Giving kids more time to blow off some steam can also help promote a more active lifestyle as they get older.
We know teenagers also have poor dietary quality and also are more sedentary than our younger kids.
Meanwhile, some health professionals are even hoping this concept catches on with adults.
We all kind of need recess. Shouldn't we have it in the workforce too? I think maybe it should be mandatory in the workforce so that we all just go out for 20 minutes and just take a breath,
That was Sue Guzman reporting. The amount of time kids get for recess is kind of different at schools across the country, ranging from less than 10 minutes to more than an hour a day. And researchers advise allotting at least 20 minutes a day for recess for older students.
Well, for years, we've been told to drink at least 8 cups of water per day. But how much water should you drink each day? It turns out there really is no one-size-fits-all answer.
A host of factors can affect how much water you need, including your age and your metabolism and whether you have any chronic medical issues. Drinking enough water will also keep your kidneys hydrated as well, so you prevent kidney issues, kidney failure, kidney stones.
Doctors say we should strive to drink about 8 to 12 glasses of water a day, but it's best to simply listen to your body. It's especially important to stay hydrated when you're exercising or spending time outside on a hot day. Coffee, tea, and other drinks can contribute to your daily fluid intake, but remember that water is the best choice to stay hydrated.
Cruise ship passengers return. More than a dozen Americans aboard a sick ship are now being monitored stateside. The efforts to prevent additional spread.
And vetting advice from online sources. Coming up, essential clues to look for before you take advice from influencers. And here are the winning lottery numbers. We'll be right back.
Live from WRAL News headquarters in Raleigh, your number one source for local news. WRAL News, coverage you can count on.
The Americans evacuated from the deadly hantavirus cruise ship are back in the United States. It is unclear how many of the Americans who are all asymptomatic will end up staying there and for how long. NBC's Camila Bernal has the latest.
This morning, Americans from that cruise ship landing in the United States, including one who U.S. officials say has tested positive for hantavirus. Loaded on buses traveling to the facility where they'll be examined. According to the health department, one passenger currently has mild symptoms, and another passenger tested mildly PCR positive for the Andes strain of the virus. The person who tested positive is expected at the Nebraska Biocontainment Unit in Omaha. The other with mild symptoms will be going to another specialized facility. Both will undergo clinical assessment and receive appropriate care and support based on their condition. The passengers spent weeks aboard this cruise ship where multiple people contracted hantavirus, and 3 deaths have been linked to the outbreak, according to officials. After disembarking the ship on Sunday, a private plane carrying those 17 Americans landing at Eppley Airfield in Nebraska early this morning.
We do daily symptom and monitoring as well as vital sign checks.
The hospital's biocontainment unit is specifically designed to treat those with highly hazardous and infectious diseases. Here, even contact with medical staff is limited. While the CDC says it can take up to 6 weeks for hantavirus symptoms to appear, health officials have not said if the passengers will be required to stay for any period of time.
They'll decide who needs stricter monitoring, who needs less monitoring.
And that was Camille Bernal reporting. Meanwhile, Congress is trying to meet a June 1st deadline to get a DHS funding bill to President Donald Trump. Republicans had been united behind the bill, but late last week, the Senate Judiciary Committee added $1 billion in funding for the new White House ballroom. Some oppose the measure, writing, quote, "At a time when Americans can't make ends meet, Republicans say let them eat cake," and then hand Trump $1 billion to build a ballroom to serve it in.
The remains of a U.S. soldier with North Carolina connections have been found in Morocco. First Lieutenant Kendrick Key Jr. was one of 2 U.S. soldiers who disappeared during a recreational hike in Morocco. This was while they were off duty. He was 27 years old. Key earned a bachelor's degree from Methodist University in Fayetteville. He and the other soldier were reported missing May 2nd after participating in a yearly multinational military exercise. A Moroccan military search team found Key's body in the water along the shoreline Saturday morning, and officials believe he fell from a cliff. Search efforts will continue, though, for that second missing soldier.
Activists marched through downtown Memphis, calling on voters to turn out in high numbers in the upcoming election. Protesters marched in downtown Memphis from the I Am a Man Plaza to the Lorraine Motel where Reverend Martin Luther King Jr. was assassinated. The march follows a heated special session in Nashville where Tennessee Republicans voted to redraw the congressional districts, taking away the state's only majority black district, which represents most of Memphis. Today's protest in Memphis does come as a district court prepares to hold a hearing this week on whether the U.S. Postal Service can help enforce mail-in voting restrictions. The lawsuit stems from an executive order President Trump signed directing the federal government to build so-called state citizenship lists. It orders the Postal Service to stop delivering absentee ballots to or from anyone not on that list. The president claims mail-in voting leads to fraud, but records show he cast ballots that way twice this year.
On social media feeds, there is a lot of health and wellness content, including ads. And to explain how you can have a more critical eye on what you're seeing and if you can even trust certain content, here's Ted Lindner.
While browsing around sites and apps, it's not uncommon for many Americans online to stumble upon health and wellness advice. According to the results of a recent survey by the Pew Research Center, about 4 in 10 adults in the U.S., including nearly half of those under the age of 50, get health information from social media or podcasts. But not every person giving tips may have the proper credentials and training to do so. After examining the profiles of close to 7,000 influencers with at least 100,000 followers, researchers discovered roughly 1/3 called themselves a coach. About 3 in 10 were described as entrepreneurs, and 1 in 10 referenced their own life experiences. About 4 in 10 listed having a background as a health professional.
It's so important to distinguish what is talking from personal experience versus what is like your professional take on this.
It's why certified experts say vetting what you hear and see online is critical.
Consuming without processing with a professional is probably not going to long-term be very helpful.
Some say a good sign to look out for is when an influencer clearly displays their qualifications and can prove their education.
When I see people saying, consult with your therapist or, talk to someone, get some support, that's good.
Meanwhile, some authorized specialists recommend being more cautious with content where the tips seem over the top.
If someone speaks in absolutes or black and white, then that's an immediate red flag that they're prioritizing the view count and not necessarily the information that they're putting out there.
That was Ted Linder reporting with that story.
Coming up at 12:30 now, Nike tariffs. Nike facing a class action lawsuit for allegedly pocketing significant tariff refunds from the government instead of returning the money to consumers. How much the giant apparel company could owe.
Plus, coastal wildfire. A wildfire burning across the Florida Everglades is impacting air quality and visibility, too. The effort to get it contained as it spreads across acres of land.
Hey, you can download the new WRAL weather app and plan ahead for severe weather anytime. Turn on alerts to get notified about severe weather in your location. It's free wherever you download your apps. Several snack products sold at Target are being recalled due to salmonella concerns. That includes Good and Gather Mexican street corn. It also includes various nut mixes at various stores under the brands Southern Style Nuts, Fisher, and Squirrel. The FDA says the seasoning tested negative for salmonella before being used on products. The recall is a precautionary measure taken by the manufacturer. Some customers are suing Nike for not refunding tariff-related costs passed on to them through higher prices. Consumers argue Nike should not be allowed to keep, quote, significant refunds it may receive after the Supreme Court struck down President Trump's global tariffs. Nike says it has paid roughly $1 billion in tariffs on imported goods. Consumers claim prices were raised on some products by up to $10 because of the tariffs.
Well, so when it comes to the best and the worst states for seniors in the workplace, North Carolina ranks 35th. A record 11.6 million seniors are in the U.S. workforce, which is up 132% from 2004. A new study used numerous factors to determine the best states for mature adults to work. That includes percentages of people 60 plus who are working, median households of income of 65 and older, and age-based discrimination complaints. New Hampshire ranks number 1 because of the low rate of age discrimination there, while Mississippi ranks last. Prime Video is the latest streamer to add vertical feed for content. Amazon Prime Video is adding a TikTok-like clips feed in the app. They'll show short videos of shows designed to hook a viewer into giving the full show a try. Users can try to add a title to their watch list and then share with friends, or even navigate to rent, buy, or access the show or this movie through a subscription that you have in place. Amazon first tested the feature during the NBA season.
We have more news ahead now. On to the next one. The Carolina Hurricanes are headed to the Eastern Conference Finals when you can get your hands on a ticket.
Plus, just call him Dr. J. A member of the Fab Five imparts words of wisdom to the class of 2026 at his alma mater, a special honor he received in the process. WRAL Investigates is taking a look at how the state spends its precious tourism dollars. Sarah Kruger shares how social media content creators are playing a big role in this.
This is the story we're working on for tonight at 6. So I noticed some posts on social media from content creators promoting our state, and that made me curious, how often does the state hire them? So I interviewed Visit North Carolina, the state's tourism office, and found out this is an increasingly important way that they are trying to bring tourism to North Carolina. Over the last several years, the office has spent hundreds of thousands of dollars hiring content creators to post on their social media accounts.
There's ways that we can see true engagement with those social media posts or those blog articles or those stories that are written through working with the content creator. So we know early on, is this message resonating? Because we have that trackability mechanism, and that's really important.
Tonight at 6, we'll dive into the tourism trends in our state and the challenges Visit NC is facing. Plus, I talked to one of the content creators who has done work for the state, and she gives us some insight onto what things are like on that side of things. Sarah Kruger, WRAL News in Raleigh.
And happening now in the WRAL Traffic Center, I should say the WRAL Live Center. I'm so used to doing my traffic in the mornings. So Sean Gallagher looked into whether or not pausing the state gas tax will actually lower the price of fuel. Of course, right now, the latest numbers from AAA shows the average gallon of gas in Raleigh is $4.17, which is actually 2 cents less than what we've been paying yesterday. But industry leaders say pausing this gas tax that goes for maintenance of road constructions and other projects or temporarily moratorium would actually help. But most industry leaders say that's not the case. Find out why they're saying that by reading the full article on WRAL.com.
Well, tomorrow at noon, tickets go on sale for the NHL's Eastern Conference Final at Lenovo Center. The Canes advanced when they finished off Philadelphia on Saturday, and the Canes will have home ice advantage for the conference final, but they're still waiting to see who they're going to play. Their opponent will be either Buffalo or Montreal. There will still be at least 2 more games in that series. Montreal leads it 2 more games to 1 after last night's Game 3. And guess what? Astronaut Christina Koch was spotted at that Canes game in Philly over the weekend, rooting for the Flyers. Next to Gritty in this picture. Christina, how could you? Just kidding. Cook is a native North Carolina. I should say Cook is a North Carolina native and NC State grad, but she says that she became a Philadelphia sports fan because of her husband. It was a tough loss, though, for her Flyers, but it's great to see her enjoying her time back on Earth after that trip around the moon. I think once you go to space and you spend so much time up there, you're allowed to root for whoever you want to. I'm not going to give you any trouble on that one. And just a reminder, there is NBA playoff action on NBC tonight. The Detroit Pistons are in Cleveland to take on the Cavaliers, and Detroit is up 2-1 in that series. Tip-off is set for 8 p.m., and you can watch that game on WRAL.
A wildfire burning across the Florida Everglades is impacting air quality and visibility along roadways. The fire is burning just outside of the Miami suburbs. Nearly 5,000 acres have been scorched, but there are no reports of damage to homes or businesses. Several agencies are working to put out the flames, and there's no word on the cause at this time. Yeah, it's pretty interesting to see those coastal wildfires. Here at home, we're just getting a little rain here in Clinton, Elizabeth.
This is one of the spots that probably is going to see the heaviest rain all day. It just happens to be that we caught it. It's probably not going to last very long, but you can see it coming down there. In Clinton, this is a look from Alfredo's restaurant. So in Clinton, you definitely need that raincoat. It moved through Fayetteville. We took a look at Fayetteville a few minutes ago. Around the Triangle, temperatures are in the low 60s, so it's a cool noon hour here. Our wind is out of the north at 18. 35 miles per hour so far today. There's a look at that rain. Oh, look at that. Just as that cell is moving out of Sampson County, it just got a warning. So it's not for our viewing area, but over into Duplin County there, you can see there's a severe thunderstorm warning. So let's zoom in, and you can see. So I was watching that, and it definitely looks like it's really heavy there. And we've already had winds gusting here to 35 miles per hour. So this southwest corner of Duplin County, seeing that severe thunderstorm warning. I wouldn't anticipate that we would have a lot of warnings, but we do have a level 1 risk from Clinton southward. I just don't think we're going to see a whole lot more cells developing there. Up here, it's nice and stable, so we're not looking at anything severe. Roxborough over toward Henderson and South Hill, really I-85 northward is where we're seeing the showers right now, and that's mostly where it will be for the remainder of the day. You can see that cell moving on out. Maybe 1 or 2 more develop around 3 o'clock or so, so we'll keep our eye on that southern part of Sampson County all the way into the evening commute. A few light showers continue in our northern counties, but honestly, Futurecast just doesn't really show anything falling in the Triangle area and for most of us. There's that level 1 risk, again, just that southern tip of Sampson County, and that's exactly where one more county over we saw that warning posted. Futurecast for Wednesday. That's going to be our next best chance for rain. We'll pause it Wednesday at 4 o'clock, and you can see a few light showers, but by 5 and 6 o'clock, we start to see some heavier rain. This could cause some problems for the evening commute if this, in fact, remains the timeline. It looks like the rain would last potentially until the wee hours of the morning, and that may give us a better chance for rain. Right now, going 1/4 inch to 1/2 inch, and that's really all going to be Wednesday. We're just really not expecting to see much in the rain gauges today at all. Ahead of that front, we'll see a warm 80 degrees, but nothing like what we'll see over the weekend. Looking hot at 87 Saturday and 90 for Sunday.
Okay, Elizabeth, thank you.
Well, we're talking about aging gracefully for this next story. She's lived through numerous world changes, and we'll talk to her, well, hear from her about her secret to long life when we return. Never tire of that cool shot that we have of the Raleigh skyline.
Nice. Yeah.
Well, as we wrap things up, here's a look at a few of the headlines that were following today. A Durham man accused of shooting someone outside a restaurant on Mother's Day will stay in jail without bond. Samir Al-Mahmoud faces a charge for assault with a deadly weapon with intent to kill. He is charged in connection with a shooting outside the Silver Spoon restaurant on North Roxborough Street, if you're familiar with that location. And during his court appearance today, the prosecutor said that Al-Mahmoud told detectives at the scene that if he got out, he would, quote, finish the job. The victim in this case is in critical condition.
One person is dead after a house fire in Chapel Hill. Dozens of firefighters responded to the scene here at Redbud Lane and Honeysuckle Road that happened just before 7 a.m. They found one person dead inside the home. A medical examiner is working to determine the victim's identity. Investigators are trying to figure out what started the fire.
Well, today, troopers identified 2 people killed in a crash on I-85 in Durham County. On Friday, investigators say a Honda Civic rear-ended another car, drove off the road, and then crashed into a tree. 61-year-old Denise Crawford and 21-year-old Kellis Gorham were inside that Honda and both died. They were from Maryland. The driver in that second vehicle was not injured. Highway Patrol is still, though, investigating exactly what led to that Honda rear-ending that car.
Former NBA star and Fab Five member Jalen Rose now has another title, doctor. Rose delivered the 2026 commencement address this weekend at his alma mater, the University of Michigan. He reflected on his Michigan roots and the importance of giving back to the community. The university conferred the honorary Doctor of Human Letters degree upon Rose, or Humane Letters. It is awarded to those who have made significant humanitarian and philanthropic contributions to society.
Well, a Pennsylvania woman just celebrated a major milestone. Miss Susan Young Brown is 108 years old. She just got her driver's license renewed, and it's good until 2033. Brown even has her own reserved parking spot at the Senior Community Center. She grew up during segregation, helping her family on a farm without running water or even electricity. And she spent 30 years as a teacher and has lived to reach great-grandma status. Brown enjoys group workouts 3 times a week and says the key to a healthy life is moving. And you will be doing lots of that if you are behind the wheel of a car. How about that?
Oh, my goodness. 108 years. How incredible is that?
What a life lived. Well, coming up today on WRAL News at 4, President Donald Trump says Americans should not worry about a gas shortage. He says the U.S. produces more oil than Russia and Saudi Arabia combined. And so today on WRAL News at 4, PolitiFact is going to check that claim.
And let's go ahead and send it over to meteorologist Elizabeth Gardner with a look at the forecast.
Across our area right now, we have the chance. Southern Sampson County has the potential to see maybe another isolated cell or two that could be on the strong side in terms of the wind damage. We've also seen breezy conditions across our area this morning, and we'll likely see that through the afternoon. So we'll see winds gusting up to 25, 35 miles per hour. Likely to stay pretty cool today with a northerly wind looking at a high of 73, but we're in the mid 60s right now. So it may be that we struggle to get even into the low 70s in some places. Skies are likely to clear tonight. It's going to be a chilly start tomorrow morning. We were in the upper 50s this morning. Tomorrow morning, likely to be in the upper 40s. So big change, but a beautiful day tomorrow with sunshine and a high of 74. Wednesday is going to be our next best chance for rain. We'll likely end up seeing that late in the afternoon into the evening. And then once that's through, another gorgeous day Thursday and Friday. Right now, the weekend looks dry. I know we need the rain, but at least it'll be a dry weekend to get outside. It will be hotter, though. Our high temperatures will be in the upper 80s Saturday and around 90 on Sunday.
Yay, more heat.
Elizabeth, thank you so much. NBC News Daily is next on WRAL, and your next local news update is coming in 30 minutes.
You can always get your breaking news updates anytime with our WRAL News app. Hope you have a blessed day today.